I don't think we should send marshals out onto that track. I agree. They should red flag this and just quickly get it out of the way.
Well, the thing is as well, if you red flag it, we can get that cleared away safely, probably more quickly than we can do under a virtual safety car. And at the moment, we've just neutralised everything. And here come the marshals. There's a bit of a gap now as Lewis Hamilton's just gone past there to Gabriel Bortoleto, but it's not a massive gap.
I don't know if they can get it into neutral. Depends on exactly the problem it's had, but getting it into neutral might not be that easy.
Steering wheel's come off now.
Yeah, I agree, Miles. The fact that it stopped in gear and he couldn't even idle the engine would suggest to me that, yeah, he's lost all capability of getting the car into neutral. And I did think, you know, the thing I don't like about this situation when a virtual safety car comes out, the drivers just drive to a delta on there. It's not like the car is limited to a speed like you have in other categories, for example, the World Endurance Championship. There's a physical button that limits you to a speed where they are free to overspeed in that kind of moment if they want, as long as they are at their delta.
And by the way, the team are not allowed to cross the pit lane entry line. The pit lane entry line not, or the actual pit itself rather than the beginning of the pit lane. They can't all rush down there for obvious reasons and get the dolly wheels underneath it and get it out of the way. They're just not allowed out of the pits.
Well, Carlos Sainz has got out of the car. Ted's down at Williams. Any reaction so far?
But Crofty, surely they have to close the pit lane. Have they put a message up saying pit lane closed?
Yes.
They have?
No, they haven't.
Yeah, pit lane
entry closed. Yes, it is. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, thank heavens for that. Okay, that at least is sensible, because we've got drivers still coming out. Yeah, just so about a minute before Carlos actually got out, they were still going around Gaetan Jago.
The headrest is a bit loose on the right. It's not properly mounted in.
Okay, copy.
And normally, Ted, he'd come back into the pits and they'd mount that properly and they'd sort it, but the entry's closed.
Well, it might be, by the time he gets around, maybe those great Aussie marshals might have cleared the Williams away. But yes, he was getting some information still, some instructions from his engineer, Gaetan Jago, just trying various things to get the car moved away and back to the pits. They will wheel it into a position where the mechanics can pick it up. It is quite a long pit entrance because we got the Aussie V8 supercars. That's their pit lane and their paddock. But yeah, as Carlos comes towards me, that looks like it's... if they can get the car back, and it's obviously easy, then carry on, but otherwise that's a crucial session lost for Williams, who are having a troubled early first round of 2026.
And finally we get a red flag, which...
Easy, then carry on, but otherwise that's a crucial session lost for Williams, who are having a troubled early first round of 2026.
And finally we get a red flag, which could have happened about 4 minutes ago, but at least we've got one. Better late than never, I think, on that. The car is obviously not in neutral, stuck. It's going to need something underneath it to get rid of it, and you're best doing that when there's no cars coming around the corner and they've all squeezed past on the inside and gone back into the pits. So we've got a red flag here.
And pit lane entry is now open, so they can actually now squeeze around the outside of that.
Isn't that a mark of Aston Martin's season, ladies and gentlemen, that the minute Fernando Alonso does get out onto the track, we have a red flag? I mean, there's just new problems time after time. And this one nothing to do with any vibrations being caused by the car. Lance Stroll, by the way, not officially out of this session, but last time he was spotted, he was in his civvies in the Aston Martin hospitality unit, not in his race suit, but I think they are going to try and hopefully get him out. Just having... and hopefully get him out. Just having a listen to the Honda engine.
You hear that kind of burble it's got on partial and half and off throttle from the outside. When I was staying on the track during the Bahrain test, it's so distinctive compared to the other power units out there.
Sounds like a two-stroke, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They're just saving an awful lot of fuel when they're off throttle.
I love that. Was the reigning two-time champion when Arvid Lindblad was born. Arvid Lindblad was born 4 days after Fernando Alonso parked his McLaren in the pits and wouldn't let Lewis Hamilton come in and do his pit stop until it was too late, therefore costing his teammate a chance to pole and kicking off a whole brouhaha, which I think ended up with Spygate at the FIA. It's a race that we'll never forget.
It's scary that I remember that day, Crofty, as if it was yesterday.
Yeah, quite. So red flag, and the clock will continue to tick down. We had a delay of 20 minutes before the start. Now we've got another delay because Carlos Sainz's Williams has come to a halt at the start of the pit lane. I think if you're Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon, and congratulations to Alex Albon, by the way, who got engaged over the winter period here. He and Lily May, they have got engaged, and there'll be another wedding in the paddocks who follow on from Charles Leclerc, who got married last week. But that aside, I wouldn't have been overly happy, I think, if I was Carlos Sainz or Alex Albon with the car that I've been given to drive for this year so far. A lot of expectation at Williams, and it's not lived up to that expectation in what we've seen so far in pre-season. No,
not yet. We heard that they were fully focused on 2026 earlier than most, if not all, of the teams, and they finished. Yeah, had a great season last year. P5 in the championship. I think that was beyond some expectations around up and down the paddock, and particularly within the team. So it naturally you expected more coming into this year, and it has been at the beginning at least fairly disappointing. But yeah, there's still a long way to go, of course, for all of the team's improvements will come thick and fast.
The track is open again, isn't it now? They're saying.
Oh, and good news, by the way. A radio message came in. Won't tell you the driver. How are the vibrations? The answer? Good.
Oh, was that Chris Cronin asking that?
Alonso seems happy, at least for now.
I was going to say, it's either, if they're going to ask that sort of question, that's either going to be to Sergio Perez, and his race engineer is Carlo Passetti, or it's going to be to Lance Stroll, who's not on the track, or to Fernando Alonso, because they're the ones that are having the vibrations, it seems.
I think for Perez, on his car anyway, it's the mirrors that are taking all the vibrations.
Yeah, just a touch.
Maybe that's what Aston Martin need to do, just design that absorbs all the vibrations, takes it away from elsewhere on the car and the driver.
So the track is technically open, but the pit exit is closed because we haven't had a resumption time yet declared by race control.
It says it's clear in track. Sector 19, it clearly isn't.
No.
Is it? So
it was the digger, wasn't it? As soon as that...
Yeah.
As soon as that thing arrived on the track, they had to red flag it.
But at 13... look, track clear, which is it isn't. So, and pit. It's yeah, it's all going a bit Pete on. Isn't it?
It is a touch. Look, the track is obviously not clear, although there it is clear of cars because there's no one on it, but the FIA race control race director need to issue a resumption time. And we have a time to resume, and it's 1:11. In about a minute's time, and there is the longest serving driver McLaren history, which shows you how many races we do these days. How many did you have for McLaren back in the day?
Oh, not many. I got fired after a year, so that would be about 60. I think.
But is that done by
season's worth back in Martin's day?
My goodness, didn't we make a meal out of getting that Williams out of the way?
green lights?
Do you think, obviously when we come to the first race of the season, we've had testing, but would it work to the teams and the FIA's advantage to have a pre-season test that was a race weekend? Like, you know, like a pre-season friendly in football, where you go through 3 practice sessions, a qualifying and a race, and actually test out all the systems, the teams can test out their procedures, and you do a proper race weekend.
They did that in Bahrain, though, didn't they? In Bahrain too, you know, testing virtual safety car, red flag.
But to run it as a Grand Prix weekend.
It'd be really hard to give up all the money, wouldn't it, and fans and corporate hospitality if you're going to do all of that without actually having a Grand Prix. I think it's just because everything's so brand new and complex, isn't it?
I think that we've come into this season, we've been open-minded and with an opinion of expect the unexpected, but there's only so far your imagination can go with that one, and you're never going to be able to, you know, tick all of the boxes in that regard.
Asked an engineer, will we be seeing like two preparation laps before a qualifying lap?
Yeah.
And they said absolutely no. They were not expecting two preps.
Because the tyres won't last? Or?
Get out and get on. Get on with it. You can prepare them apparently on the outlap.
Well, let's see if Lando Norris is prepared. Nice. Slow out the final corner. Here comes your acceleration. Ladies and gentlemen, and here's Anthony Davis.
Yeah. And the reason they can push on an outlap now is because you can put so much energy back into your battery very quickly. And one of those moments is coming up right here. Down into turn 3, you'll be midway to about .25% battery pack, and now at this point after that one braking zone, almost right to the top of the pack again through this part here, around 80% battery you'll have exiting turn 5, and then you'll be a little boost of energy down towards towards turn 6, and then back on throttle as early as possible, because you want to carry that momentum, as always, through the exit of 7, 8. He picks up a slipstream here. From the Alpine through the flat-out kinks of turn 7. And this is turn 8, the zone where they thought about for a moment. Taken away the straight line mode, then into the high speed of 9 and 10. Looked like he left a little bit on the table there through 10. We've seen Max Verstappen go off there, for example, yesterday, a real rough ride on the exit. Car just scraping the ground ever so slightly before the braking into turn 11, then into turn 12. You can see those mini sectors that he keeps going through in the middle of the halo graphics through 13. Look, really neutral car on the exit, hardly any steering angle either way through 13. And then towards the line, you drain the battery right to its depletion at 0, just to see you over the line, then back out of it, and then you're now onto a slow lap and make way for the your following competitors behind,
which was Alex Albon in the Williams. So he ended up, Lando Norris, about 8/10 off the pace. Lewis Hamilton from before the red flag. Oscar Piastri 6/10 down, and Max Verstappen 4/10 down. Kimi Antonelli going fastest through the first sector. Charles Leclerc powers to the line, and third fastest, 4/10 behind his teammates. On board now with Kimi Antonelli towards turn 12.
and that's Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari in front of him.
So Hamilton about to start a flying lap. Antonelli about to complete a flying lap. So there's Lewis Hamilton going nice and slow, and in doing so, that gives Kimi Antonelli a nice little slipstream to the line. And now Lewis Hamilton accelerates away. That was perfectly judged by Kimi Antonelli. Well, I'm not sure if it was intentional or not, but...
And Ferrari as well, you'd have to say, with Lewis. You know, he was waiting to put his foot down to start his lap, and he thought about moving over to the right and to let Kimi by, but how do you know that that guy is just finished a push lap? And this kind of scenario, we said this yesterday, Croft, it will only really happen in qualifying and free practice. So in the race, of course, that kind of stuff won't be going on.
I'm just imagining Bono there, who now engineers Antonelli, of course, being angry about Lewis getting in the way. His sort of hero and long-time mate.
But that's where you need Bono in your Antonelli corner, and you need an experienced race engineer in the Hamilton corner.
It all got thrown away anyway, down into turn 3 as another lockup. We've seen so many drivers go wide there, and look at the bumps, wait for it, look, and those tiny bumps reacting on top of everything else going against the driver, and you're just going to have to leave a bit more margin into that particular one there.
Here's another one.
We're going to see so many mistakes this year.
Wow, double.
You know, your arrival speed into corners can vary dramatically. That is hard but to manage, but then we do it in the rain, don't we?
We do, and you know, we see drivers spin and crash and run wide in the rain for that reason. So it is unpredictable. and it's a moving target for the drivers pretty much every lap. Like we mentioned right at the top of the program, if you're not consistent yourself as a driver, then the system under you is not going to be consistent, and it's just this negative spiral. But Leclerc looks like he's on a really strong lap here, and Ferrari once again looking strong on this track.
We were talking in testing, Martin, about sprint weekends and how you'll take part in the sprints, and as a driver your next track action is qualifying for the Grand Prix. It's a massive change.
There's a blue light on my left. LED, I don't know what it is. It's really off-putting.
Could be the toggle, could be.
It's not the toggle.
It's as Leclerc goes fastest. It's not. There's a blue light on the gear shift lights. I'd like to see on board with Lewis. That's Alexandra Leclerc. There she is now at the back of the Ferrari garage, and congratulations once again to the newlyweds.
It's funny, you know, the lights in a driver's world, they're ever so important, and they have beeps as well, audio beeps coming through their earpieces to let them know certain things that they have to be doing, or warnings, etc. And as we see Verstappen opening up a lap here, and the oh, nearly did it. Nearly did it. The Audi finishing a lap. The Audi Sauber. And yeah, so you live on these LED lights. Can't quite see them with Piastri here, but well, apart from the gear shift lights there, and there's a blue LED on the right hand side. The teams can choose what they do with all of these lights to signify different things going on. And if something happens that you're not familiar with, it does really put you off.
And they'll have different beeps in their ears for knowing when to lift and coast, to charge the battery or what have you. But you'll notice both your ex-drivers in the commentary box didn't say anything about Lewis's blue light, because we're both thinking, I'm sure, if Lewis doesn't know what the blue light is in his car, we have no idea. There's no point in even trying to guess.
It's a fair point.
The teams can map these things for a multitude of different scenarios.
Right, out of the final corner comes Oscar Piastri, born just a few miles away from Albert Park, and he goes second fastest, about 400ths behind Charles Leclerc. Verstappen lost a little bit of time in the middle part of this lap. Hamilton has set 2 personal bests and goes fastest once again at a 1/10 of a second between himself and his teammate. Look how tight it is at the top, just a 1/10 and a half between the top 4, and Verstappen, after losing about 3/10 in the middle sector, ends up about 3/10 behind in 5th. Fastest, Isaac Hadjar, Max's new teammate for this season, half a second down, and wants to get like Max, losing time in the middle part of the lap.
But he's been within a 10th or 2 of Max, hasn't he?
That was another 2/10 down on Max. It's so far, I think so far so good. Usually when you step into the lion's den, when you're Max Verstappen's teammate, you ride that kind of, maybe it's naivety, and it gives you're quite confident before you start getting pushed down slowly by the Dutchman, and then the sort of mental games begin as an athlete in that regard. But so far, he looks like he's in a pretty good place.
What is it like being Max Verstappen's teammate, and how does it affect you? Here's a stat. The second Red Bull hasn't finished in the top 5 at any of the past 42 Grand Prix, regardless of who's driving it. So anything in the that is a good start.
Lovely, yep, we'll bear that in mind for quali. Right, the Saubers, oh, Anthony, I did it. The Audis, you put that idea on my head.
Yeah.
The Audis have gone back out. So they have been on the soft tyre, haven't they, as we've seen. Lots of cars are on the soft tyre, but that's a good show of speed. Bortoleto P6, Hulkenberg P8 by Audi. Maybe the first bit of speed we've seen this weekend. Just passed by Williams. It's so frustrating because the abandoned car of Sainz is visible. You can see it all the way down the pit lane at the end of the support paddock, but they can't get it. I don't know why they can't push it on some dollies down the support pit lane and then into the actual F1 pit lane. So the mechanics can get on fixing it, because Carlos Sainz is now losing all this track time, all the low fuel track time going into qualifying, and that's surely going to affect him later. An update on Lance Stroll. He's still not in the garage. The mechanics had a little break. They had a meeting at the back of the car, then they went back to work, but it looks like they're going to be still up against it to get that car ready for this session.
We had a red flag. Why couldn't they have pushed the Williams down the pit lane to get it into the garage?
Because it's stuck in gear, isn't it? And as I said earlier on, Williams can't just bomb down there. They can't leave the pit lane, so it's got to come back on a low loader.
Yeah.
George Russell still looks like he's pushing on this lap, and I think therefore he's doing consecutive laps. So he didn't back out of it basically after crossing the line. So that probably explains why he's down there in P11 right now.
This is kind of race simulation.
Yeah.
Let's have a little listen if we can stay on board with George. Oh. See, right at the time where I was going to go super clipping, we came off board.
And he was. So that wasn't him backing out of the lap. That was just the electric motor engaging and recovering some energy. So we're something that we'll all have to get used to, the sound, the new sound of Formula One. They've always done that, by the way. It's just it's more powerful now.
Alex Albon stopped just out of turn 4. We've got a yellow in that sector. I know it's not showing up on your screen, but Alex Albon has stopped. This could be a double disappointment for Williams. Albon stopped by the side of the track yesterday as Behrman goes 9th fastest, and we're on board with Arvid Lindblad. Has he managed to get going again? Oh, he's got moving again. That's good. Lindblad goes 9th fastest. Alex has got going again, but he definitely came to a bit of a standstill round about where the yellow flags were being waved.
Lindblad does sound like he was slightly late in one of his upshifts on the exit of the final corner. He let the engine rev a bit too much. Yeah, it's a very difficult corner to get right. You have to be sort of like half throttle, you're balancing the car. Actually, on Lewis's fastest lap, he really slid the rear mid-corner, which looked great. And yeah, so it's a really daunting corner, that one.
When we were on board with George Russell and the car at the end of the straight suddenly sounded like it was going to a treacle, didn't it? When we were off board, we could see the red lights flashing like mad at the end of the pit straight.
Yeah, it's around, what, about 300 horsepower worth handbrake trying to slow you down.
Wowzers. That's going to top up your battery fairly speedily. Round the final corner comes Kimi Antonelli, not expecting this to improve his time. No, he's a second off the pace, but Piastri is having another strong lap. Over a single lap, McLaren seemed to have a fairly decent pace there, and well, 12 1/1000ths of a second between the Melbourne boy and Lewis Hamilton in second. Charles Leclerc on his latest lap just set the fastest first sector.
Lewis having another go. 27.9, as you say, for Leclerc. That's a great first sector. 28.2 is a personal best for Lewis in the first sector, but he's already towards the end of the lap.
Charles Leclerc extending his advantage as he goes through sector 2. Hamilton finishes half a second adrift on that latest lap, lap 16 for him during the course of this session. Joint most laps with Gasly and Colapinto. Fernando Alonso has put in 12 laps in this session. I mean, I know it doesn't sound much, but for Aston, that really is a decent morning's work. Trouble they've got is that the other car hasn't come out of the garage. Charles Leclerc who last time we had a regulation change, won 2 of the opening 3 races in 2022, goes fastest by 3/10. And yes, I have been reminded that Max Verstappen had a DNF in those races as well, but Charles Leclerc still won him, and I just wanted to make the point.
Oh, Lando Norris very wide on the exit of turn 12, using all the track and more, 2 personal bests in those first 2 sectors. What can he do? Piastri now 3/10 behind Leclerc because he improved his lap time last time around. P12 for Norris, and actually a bad last sector. So yeah, that turn 12 really didn't happen. It wasn't everything that went wrong.
Why did Alex Albon come to a bit of a standstill?
He's got a box full of neutrals as well, hasn't he, at this point? There's obviously some gremlins there for Williams. It's not the first time we've seen that. And he finds a gear. There had to be one in there somewhere. And off he goes. That time of Alonso's is 3.145 seconds off fastest. But that is well within the 107%.
Yes.
So Aston Martin have just ticked the box of having because they're not going to go that much faster at the front to make that a problem.
But they need to tick the box with Lance Stroll, because he's the one that hasn't done a 107% time yet.
I would say if the team has managed to do it properly, I think, you know, Lance is he's established enough now, and I think that rule is partly there for drivers not being fast enough or safe enough to be on the grid, and partly there for if a team's not fast enough or safe enough to be on the grid. So I think there's a lot of flexibility with that 107% rule.
I would agree, and I would say that's ticked the box for Aston Martin.
Excellent. On board with Kimi Antonelli. Do you remember back to George Russell, I should say? Do you remember back to last year in the wet? I wanted to talk about Antonelli, but we've not really seen him through this sector, where he got past Lewis Hamilton, I think it was, swooped round the outside. Who's to bet that some of those moves might not take place this weekend? Because I think we're going to get overtakes in parts of the track that are a little bit different to normal.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to fill your battery at the end of the straight, you'll whiz past people, and then they'll come back at you later on in that lap. But Hamilton's now in the 127s in the first sector, but Leclerc's done the 27.9. Leclerc's done a 27.7. Ferrari going faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, so it's what? Leclerc's only 1/10 away now from the time set by Piastri yesterday. So that's, I think, about to get beaten, although Leclerc has had a pretty poor middle sector.
And Lewis Hamilton, once again, not able to hook up a personal best in sector 2 or 3.
This is quick, isn't it? T12. That is super quick in these cars.
Slowest corner on the track is this one, turn 13.
Well, we used a lot of road on the exit of 13, and then that you see how that compromised the final corner. So yeah, you really want to sort of be middle of the track on comfortably before you turn into turn 14. That wasn't the case, but sounds like he carries on pushing here. No, he's backed out of it. Yeah, he's backed out now.
It was only a fraction slower than his best lap, though, Leclerc, wasn't it? A 19.8.6 instead of a 19.8.
Yeah, all down probably to that compromise that Ant was mentioning. Esteban Ocon with some changes to his car. That's going to keep him in the garage for a while. We've got 20 minutes to go of this session. Leclerc, Piastri, Hamilton, Antonelli and Verstappen, the top 5. And there's Gabriel Bortoleto just on the fringes of it for the team that is now Audi. And news from Aston Martin. Lance Stroll will not take part in this session. So whatever the issue was again, and they probably found something when they fired up the car, that's That's a whole session lost, and no chance for Lance to get out there and do some qualifying simulations on this Saturday lunchtime. They're going to be at the back of the grids, and they're not going to do more than 15 or 25 laps between them, and it's just a test exercise. It's just a massive shame for everyone that has worked so hard over the course of the winter. And I'm told car build was an exhausting process, you know, and many a long night. And there's always that hope in the back of your mind that we're building something here for the future. It's going to be really good, but then it's ever since we went to Bahrain, it's just one problem after another, I think.
Absolutely.
For Aston Martin.
It's, you know, Martin and I know firsthand how much work and dedication goes into every single employee and all the personnel inside an F1 team over the winter. It's stressful at the best of times, let alone when there's a brand new regulation change of this magnitude. And, you know, your heart goes out to everyone at Silverstone, at Aston Martin factory, and everyone back in Japan from Honda's point of view as well. It's, you know, someone's always going to get it very right in a brand new set of regulations, and someone's going to get it very wrong. It's an uncomfortable watch, but yeah, like I say, you can totally empathise with everything they must be thinking now. All that blood, sweat and tears have gone into getting here, and it's still nowhere near where you hoped it would be.
No, exactly. It's and if the situation doesn't resolve itself quickly, I don't know where you then kind of turn. I don't like the finger pointing that's going on, though, to be fair, and I don't think that helps.
Yeah, that needs to stop, and I think that's what ended the relationship with McLaren and Honda, and Fernando Alonso, of course, was involved in that as well. Who can forget the GP2 engine comment, which really didn't go down well. No, but you know, after that period, when they joined Red Bull, look what they achieved. So, you know, I have every faith that Honda will get there in time. It's just that, you know, this is a fast-moving sport on and off the track, and everyone wants results now or yesterday. And patience and F1 really don't go hand in hand.
Last drivers, by the way, to fall foul of the 107% rule and not qualify and not take part were the two HRT drivers in Melbourne 2012 of Narain Kartikeyan and Pedro de la Rosa, who's now an ambassador for Aston Martin.
What are you trying to say here?
Well, he's obviously jinxed it, to be fair. I'll go and see him later. You couldn't make it up sometimes, could you? And the fact that they've got Jenson Button, Stoffel Van Dorn and Fernando Alonso all together at Aston Martin, who were there at Honda back in 2015.
Harsh.
Should laugh, and we're not. Nico Hülkenberg out on track for an Audi team that they've just had a really solid weekend so far, and everything the team looks smart and they look slick and they look like a supercharged Sauber, if that makes sense. Sauber were a fabulous team in Formula One, but lacked a budget. Now they've got a budget. Yeah, this is what we're seeing.
Reminds me of what BMW did to that team as well, Crofty, another mighty German manufacturer, of course. And I mean, I was really impressed with how Audi have gone about this new power unit, and I wondered where they'd got this team of people from to deliver this. It seems to be reliable. It seems to be powerful enough. They've done a remarkable job. Turns out that a lot of people involved on the PU side were from the original LMP1 team that designed their diesel powertrain back then.
Makes sense.
From Ingolstadt in Germany. So it's that a lot of the same core people that, and I know how good that engine was. I raced against it in my Peugeot days, and so it explains a lot. You know,
the Le Mans team is what
the Le Mans team.
To,
yeah, exactly. So yeah, that explains it an awful lot to me.
Hülkenberg 10th fastest, and there is the CEO in the background behind Luigi Valentino with the thumbs up. The man who, well, he was busy doing Harry Potter impersonations. He's come back into Formula One. He's waved his magic wands, and there you go, Mattia Binotto. It's the last time I mentioned the Harry Potter similarity, but every time.
Two cars in the top 10 for Audi, and if you look at the long runs in the final test in Bahrain, they were fifth fastest team there as well. So that's beginning to look like where they're at. And we're talking, what are we talking? 4-5-2, aren't we? They're 4 at the front, 5 in the middle, and 2 at the back, being Aston Martin and Cadillac at the moment. Although, you know, that's not that time of Alonso's, because he's barely been round. The 122.8 is actually encouraging, isn't it? That's way closer than they're 3 seconds off the pace. That's the closest they've been by a margin.
Yes, it is an awful lot better. I'll get the testing times if you want as well. They were nowhere near that much off the pace in Bahrain as Ocampo just goes onto the grass. Alonso with the time. Stroll out of this session, won't take any part. Ted, down to you.
Crofty, what's my favourite part of an F1 weekend?
The notebook.
No, the 10 minutes before the end of FP3,
yes.
when we find out what everyone's got for qualifying in their locker. Right this moment, come on, you know, after all this practice, it's time for the talking to stop. Well, not our talking, that's what we're paid for, and the action to present itself. And the 2 Mercedes, I think you're watching them now, have just left the pits on brand new soft tyres. So come on, George, come on, Kimi, have you been sandbagging all this time? What have you got in the locker? Is it quicker than Charles Leclerc and Oscar Piastri and Lewis Hamilton? By the way, Max Verstappen's still making setup changes to his car, front and rear, so maybe he wasn't particularly happy or as happy as we thought. And Lewis Hamilton, he's ready to go out as well. We believe the mystery of the blue-purple light has been solved. And he's not making any further changes to his car. He seems to be happy enough with the setup. Oh, actually, hang on. He's jumping out. He's jumping out. Well, that's unusual. Maybe he's just going.
Ted, we need to talk about this lap. Sorry, we need to talk about this lap.
Stay with it, Ted. We're on board with George Russell. We can see the battery. We can see the recharge and the deploy, and we can see that he's quickest overall in the first sector. And
yeah, this is great to finally have this battery graphic deploying the energy. I know we've got a yellow flag out there
we've got
somewhere.
a double yellow, and it's for Kimi Antonelli. So this is not going to count, and he's going to have to lift off. And that is a big crash for Kimi Antonelli, and that's a red flag as well. So just on the exit of turn 2, has Kimi Antonelli got onto the grass going into that corner? He's jumping clear. He's okay. That's great to see. That is a huge rebuild.
Yeah.
For the team.
To qualify. He'll not be qualifying.
No, I agree completely. That's a huge shunt for Kimi. I mean, to the point to see him get out of the car after a crash like that, that's
medical car deployed, so greater than 25G into the wall, and it looks all of that, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's a mess.
Oh dear, that is a big one.
Let's have a little look as we head down towards turn 1, like his teammate, opening up for a qualifying simulation. Swings it into the corner, gets on the curb, hits one wall, and then bounces across the track.
I did not expect that.
Just broke, did he? That just broke traction, didn't it?
Did something break? That's just... Oh, he got on the curb, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he accelerated too hard on the curb.
He hit the right. I think the curb with the oscillation, with the frequency of the curb.
Look at that.
Just gave up grip, didn't it?
Oh,
I mean, you've got in qualifying trim, you've got so much power coming off that corner.
Exactly. Look at this. So he runs that curb on the left, and it's where it rejoins the track, the tarmac. It was just that's all it took to completely upset the car.
Kept his hand on the steering wheel.
And you know, he would have had that part of the track so much more power than he's been used to on the long runs. And this is what we've been talking about. It's caught him out.
Well, going from a sprint race into qualifying as we do in China. We 10 minutes ago we gave that analogy, and that's exactly what's happening. You go from a long run, now you've got a lighter car and you've got all the power going, and oh, Kimi, that's not nice for you.
Ted's favourite 10 minutes is going to evaporate now, because I don't see this restarting.
No, that's a lot of debris to be cleared up.
They might sneak a couple of 3 minutes in, mightn't they? But I mean, you're right. It's debris, isn't it? So
they might also, if they red flagged the session and ended it, you get back 10 minutes of the 20 that we've been delayed by at the start of this session, and qualifying might actually start on time.
I'm trying to see, Crofty, what barrier, what type of barrier is that actually?
It's concrete wall on the right-hand side.
Is it not a
side?
Is it not a safer barrier?
No, it's concrete though.
There might be some Tech Pro down there, but I don't think Kimi hit it. The wall he hit was where
on the other side, not
yeah,
this
exactly,
one.
Yeah, on the outside you can see the Tech Pro, yeah, but where he's sort of the second impact is straight into a concrete
energy, wall. So therefore the energy that goes through the human body in a crash like that.
Gasly and Ocon had that big moment when they came together when they were teammates a few years ago on the restart, 2023. But no, look, so that's the inside wall where he came to rest.
So this getting running again depends really, doesn't it, on if there's any damage to the Tech Pro on the right-hand side of the track.
Just before that, Max Verstappen was ready to go out and then got out of his car.
And we took, obviously for good reason, took our attention away from how Russell was getting on his lap, trying to see the fastest sectors that are...
Bono's first thought, you okay, mate? You okay?
Oh yeah, Russell had set the fastest and second sector, yeah, fastest in first and second sector. But wow, it's good to see Kimi get out of that car actually. And
Ted, let's head down to you.
Yeah. So after Peter Bonington checking with Kimi Antonelli that he's okay, the first thing Kimi wants to do is to look at the data. The first thing he's gone to he doesn't understand it. I mean, we see the way that all the drivers take the curbs, and Kimi's as aggressive as anybody taking curbs on qualifying laps. We know that, but he just doesn't understand that the way he took the curb must be the way he's taken it on every hot lap in so far this weekend. And he just, rather than just, he's still got the helmet on. He just wants to go and look at the data, try to understand, was there anything that happened to balance shift front to rear, side to side with the tyres not up to temperature. He just doesn't, to him it's baffling. Yeah, we'll follow it up, Crofty, in between FP3 and qualifying to get a handle on whether the car is repelled or not.
Lunch might be cancelled on a weekend where dinner has pretty much been cancelled away from the track. Curfew's been broken. Red Bull last night, curfew's not happening because of the delay in the freight as well. Teams working around the clock. It has been the most exhausting of opening weekends, and honestly, our admiration to every single one of the hundreds of people working in the garages this weekend to get these cars built up and get the show on the road so that a sellout crowd can come to Albert Park and enjoy themselves in the sunshine, and so that everyone around the world can watch and enjoy. I'm
interested to see the Tech Pro and if he actually did make it, if he crashed before that, or if he has got into it and then needs any repairs, as to whether we're going to actually get anybody else doing a qualifying.
I missed my circuit walk, Martin, and I haven't got that information. And those are all the things you kind of look for, particularly from our side as commentators and pundits. You've got to have your eyes everywhere as a driver, of course, when you do the track walk. So it is Tech Pro, isn't it?
But did he hit it there? Or I think the Tech Pro ends, and I think where those two marshals are, and you've got the turf that's been dug up a bit, that's where
there's Tech Pro there.
There's that?
It's just covered, isn't it, with the turf.
Look with the conveyor belt.
All that work that goes into all those parts, and your early season you're so limited on parts, and so actually that's a better view of the barrier. You can see there's like a skin over the top of the Tech Pro. So okay,
that looks
but
right,
it still hurts.
That actually looks like it doesn't need any repair, so we should still get some qualifying attempts in right at the end.
Well, the teams think that we're going to get some in, because look, they are waiting for the signal for a resumption time and are waiting to send these cars out. Now, it's an 80 km/h pit lane, which means that you've got plenty of space in the pit lane itself. Getting out of these garages is not the easiest thing because they're quite narrow in terms of the exit out of the garage. This could be quite the stampede at the moment, Martin, when they get a signal. And
you're always worried about a little bit of debris, a little bit of sharp carbon fibre, what have you, still on the racetrack.
Session resumes in a minute and a half.
Yeah, so we'll get 4 minutes.
Ready.
That'll be 4 minutes.
They're not ready. They were too slow at racing bulls. You see how many cars came past, and now they've got to join the back of a queue. Lewis Hamilton is trying to push his way into a queue. Oscar Piastri is trying to push his way into a queue, and Gabriel Bortoleto has allowed him to get his nose out in front. And Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris have got themselves in a lovely position, and they will definitely get a lap in.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have 4 minutes to go when the light changes, so they should all get a lap, but there we are. This is a very good rehearsal for what we're going to see, isn't it, in a qualifying session, a Q3, or if there's been a red flag.
No one's letting Max in a hurry. He might find himself right at the back, and that'll be Fernando Alonso in the Aston Martin, so I doubt he's going to play the gentleman's excuse me on that one.